Quorum. We have a quorum. The item C on our agenda is obviously not going to be conducted today. Election of officers, that will wait till the new committee has its first meeting, which presumably be at the end of February. So just to follow up on that, as the chairman's report, I just want to make it clear to the people who are attending, as well as the panelists. The panelists, I think, already know this. This is the final meeting of the committee as its membership stood in 2022, with the exception that Cindy Seidel is no longer leading the committee as chair because she has left the board of directors. So to Ted and Mary and Marvin, I want to express my thanks for your actual long years of service. I think you are all charter members, aren't you, of the committee as it's in its present form as a standing committee of the board. So yeah, you've been here for at least
4 years.
4 years.
I think Ted might outrule all of us.
5 years. Ted, I think, has been, Ted was there at the very beginning. So yeah, thank you. It's very important for people to come forward and serve on these committees, and we're in the process. And I'll segue to the status of the current committee. We do have one opening, a vacancy. It's been advertised for, and I will be trying to make some calls and getting people recruited. But if any of you know someone who would really be good in this position, let me know. And you can call, you can talk to them too. But I mean, I'd like to be able to fill that position before the next meeting, which will the next regular meeting is scheduled for the 28th of February. So anybody who knows anybody who would like to serve, who's comfortable with numbers. You don't have to have a explicitly financial background, but you do have to be willing to understand budgets and such, and work with them. It'd be great. And who wants to serve on no more than a monthly basis, I think, as we would say at this point. So that's my chairman's report. Any committee member communications? Ted.
Yeah, I thought I'd just ask, I think the online meeting opportunity expires on the 28th of February. So there is, I guess, a new state law, but it gets all tangled up in the Brown Act and isn't very user friendly for committee members. So Cheryl may get her wish that the meetings go to in person. Starting with the February 28th meeting.
I don't know about February 28th. I think the governor's emergency declaration ends probably at the end of the 28th. However, it may just be good for us to get us or the committee to get used to it, because yes, we have to go back to in-person meetings under the Brown Act. There won't be any exceptions. The question is what degree we'll have a hybrid meeting using Zoom for the people who are not, say, for the attendees who are not there. There are some kinks to work out in that kind of a system, and we're not going to have AGP running the meetings because that would be just prohibitively expensive. So I would expect, and this is something probably we'll be working out during the month, that the 28th meeting on the 20th will be an in-person meeting just to get used to it. We may not legally have to, but we will definitely have to do it in March. So we might as well get the kinks worked out. So yeah, it's an important point to remember. This is probably the last Zoom only meeting, and we will not have any Zoom only meetings after the 1st of March. Any other board member communications?
I'll follow up, since I'm in a writing group and I do hybrid meetings for the writing group, and sort of the minimum setup is a camera on a tripod, a microphone that can be passed around, and a projector with a screen, which is or a large television screen, but that's probably not as easy to come by as a movie screen. So it'd be something to start thinking about, and it might be useful for the CCSD folks to consider investing in the setup.
Yeah, they will be in the side room of the vets hall where they used to be. So I don't know how much. I've talked to Carlos about this, obviously, how much the CCSD has right now in the way of ability to set up a system like that there, but we'll look into that. I mean, R&I is going to be looking into it, policy, all these committees are going to be trying to work it out. So we'll try to come up with something that's amenable to people viewing the meeting remotely. Anything else? Any other comments? Move on then to the public comment period. This is for people who have something to say that's not an agenda item among the attendees. And let me see if anybody's raising their hand. See if I see anything here.
Tom, there's that one that we got an email of. I don't know if you have. I think
I don't have it. No, I don't have it for some reason.
Let me see. I think I saw.
You might want to read it. Yeah. We have 3 attendees, and I don't believe any of them are raising their hands. Yeah.
Okay, you want me to go ahead?
Mary, yeah, if you have that.
So this was a written public comment.
Mhm.
Came in, looks like December 10th of last year.
Mhm.
Linda Prentice, the written public comment is, please consider lowering by half the property tax on land which owners are not currently allowed to build.
Yeah, okay, I remember that now. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I remember seeing that. So that's duly noted.
Okay.
Consent agenda. Moving on to the consent agenda. First of all, is there any public comment on the consent agenda? So consent agenda, of course, consists this time only of the minutes. The November 30th, 2022 special meeting minutes. We have a quorum that's of people who were there. First of all, any corrections, additions that anybody wishes to make? I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Mary Maher seconds. Marvin Korn moves that the consent agenda be adopted, be approved. Roll call vote. I'll say Marvin,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Ted,
Aye.
and Cheryl.
Aye.
Yeah, the consent agenda is approved 5-0, no abstentions, no absences. On regular business, now we get to I think this is again, there's going to be only one item. The discussion and consideration of the Finance Committee meeting dates is that's for the new board to discuss. And we actually have a date because this board at their special meeting set 2 dates, February 28th and March 23rd, I believe. And those are, unless they're changed, that's when we will meet. So I would ask that be continued, obviously, till the next meeting, item B. Item A, however, is current business. And I'd like, I'll ask Denise, I guess, to present it.
Good morning, everyone.
Mhm.
I am presenting item number 3A, which is the review of the second quarter budget report. We have one budget adjustment and the staff recommendation to forward this to the board of directors to receive and file for fiscal year 22-23 second quarter budget report and approve the proposed budget adjustment.
Mhm. And the budget adjustment, just to specify, is the only budget adjustment is for the skate park
Correct.
work, right?
And we have an agreement with the Cambria Community Council to share costs for the skate park.
Mhm.
And this is just memorializing the expenses that we've had so far.
Mhm.
That, the source is coming from Cambria Community council and what we've spent so far.
Okay.
So it's just memorializing that in the budget.
Mhm.
So it's not a new item. So I'll just go over my staff report really quickly.
Yes, please.
During the second quarter, the board had approved a budget reallocation from the Piney Way Erosion Control project to increase funding for an upgrade in a vehicle, in a water truck vehicle. So this budget adjustment has been included in this report. And then, as we just spoke about, we are asking the board to consider memorializing this agreement for the skate park and the costs that we have spent so far. And so that is outlined here. Also in my report, we have our up-to-date CIP list with activity from July 1st to December 31st. So going down to the actual report, I don't know if you all would find it beneficial to go over just how the report, I know most of you, I believe, have seen this report many times. I don't know if I need to go over all the
Let me take questions from the board, from the committee first. And because I see one already that might cover some of that, and then we can decide whether to go over in detail. Because I know this committee hasn't indeed gone over these reports quite a bit and is very familiar with them. I believe Marvin has a question.
Yes, as we dig into the report, there are approximately 60 line items spanning every account that says replace fuel station computer. Now, as we dig through that, most of those are offsetting. There are debits for anywhere from a couple $100s to hundreds of thousands of dollars. What in the world happened here? And that had been caught before the report was published?
So in the first quarter report, we explained that in this new system this was our first year of doing budget adjustments at the beginning of the year, and there was an issue with the process of loading budget adjustments where it took a description that was the same, it just duplicated the description. So we had to work with the software company about what a fix could be to fix those descriptions. And unfortunately, this was brought to the board's attention in the first quarter report. And the only fix that we were able to do to appropriately display each project. So if you look at the first one on page, hold on one second.
I think it's page
Let me see. I'm just looking at what page it is in the actual board agenda item. Sorry.
Yeah.
I
think it's the I think it's
page 11.
11, and then they're on 14 too, I think.
Yeah, they're all over. They're pretty much
right.
every department that had a carry forward for a capital project from last year.
Yeah.
So if you see under account 01-41270-01 reimbursements for fire department, you have those two offsetting transactions. So fuel station computer replacement. The initial transaction was for $30,000. I had to process an offsetting entry to make that zero and then re-enter that transaction. I had to re-enter each one individually so we could see the proper description. So everyone is able to see. Now these are, reflected appropriately monetarily wise in the budget. As you can see, they're offsetting. Unfortunately, it does look a little messy, but they had no mechanism for me to just erase the entry that had pulled the wrong description. So you live and you learn, and next year it will not look this way. But unfortunately, for the rest of the year, this is how these reports will look.
Mm-hmm.
So is that, the end result, is it a software glitch or is it the way we entered the budget or is it something different?
It is, the process is through a budget adjustment. And you should be able to enter, it's a software glitch. You should be able to enter multiple. So basically all of these adjustments have to go in one by one instead of doing one adjustment with all these multiple line items. There are other ways we post entries in here that do take the description of the multiple line items. So this was just a process we were not aware of. And we did notice it in the first quarter budget, but there was just, we had to spend time with the software company to see if we could, just, reverse these and get them, put them back in, but that was not the case.
Might I suggest that a explanation of that be included at the beginning of the report? As anyone who just picks up this report is going to be totally baffled by all this back and forth debit and credit. You said it's very messy.
Yes.
I have a question about two questions. The software glitch, has the software glitch been remedied? Is it?
No.
No.
I will just, the mechanism in which I will have to do an entry for each line item instead of just doing one entry for all of them.
Why can't they just fix the software?
We entered a ticket for this, and so if enough of their customers, I think, have the same problem, they will probably put it into their development cycle. But those types of things do not get fixed quickly and without enough people having issues with it. So we did submit a ticket and voice our, displeasure on how this, and in the additional amount of work it's going to take to get all of these items in there. So hopefully that they will have a fix maybe by their next release.
Yeah, and it does sound, I don't want to digress too much. It does sound like Marvin's idea of having an explainer on this thing in future budget reports is good because it's going to keep coming up. You're saying it's going to, each time we have these
And
quarterly updates, it'll be there. So yeah, there should be and we can talk about power encode later, I guess. Any other questions on the specific report in this item? Okay, I'll invite public comment at this point. Is there anyone among the attendees who wants to comment on item? Was it 3A? Okay, seeing no public comment, I'll take this back to the board. I guess the action before us is simply to approve or recommend an action by the board of directors regarding the quarterly budget update and the, as I say, the one adjustment that's in there, the budget reallocation and the memorialization of the skate park expenditure. So do I hear a motion to recommend a motion for a recommendation?
So I'll recommend that we send this to the board and ask them to okay it. Is that the specifics? I'm just trying to write it out here.
That'd be the specifics on this item. We could let the discussion show that this is not on the item, but maybe we should just let's go through the vote first, because I have a couple of comments to make on that and what we can put in the agenda. I mean the minutes. Ted, do you have a second?
Well, I have a couple of questions, so
Okay.
I can second, but that should be open it up for discussion then.
Okay. 10 seconds. Go ahead.
So on I guess it's page 26 and 27 of the package. The East Ranch restroom and the skate park appear to be budget adjustments. And, you know, those things were known at the beginning of the year, so I'm curious why they were not in the budget.
Those adjustments represent what are called a project carry forwards from last year. So projects that had activity from last year, and the board approves the carry forward amounts in August. And then we enter them into the budget. So and Pam, I don't know if you have more explanation than that. I think that's the appropriate way to explain it, that it's the board subsequently approves carrying forward all of these projects, you know, even if they had activity last year.
These,
Yeah, I understand that. But it seems to me that the carry forwards then should become part of the budget for the current year. And maybe I'm off base on that, but it just seems odd to show something that we already knew was going to happen that ends up being a budget adjustment.
Yeah, and so that total amount is reflected in that current total budget. That 465,000 includes those two budget adjustments.
Right. Well, it shows up as an adjustment, not as part of the original budget.
So if I can comment, please.
sure.
So
Go
the
ahead.
original budget is to record the new activity that is occurring. And at the point when we do the original budget, we don't know how the year has closed out yet. So that is the purpose of the carry forward process, is to record how the year ended and what commitments didn't get fully expended and need to carry forward in the next year. So they have to come through as a budget adjustment because they're not a new request. We don't drop and restore the budget. We carry it forward from year to year. So that's how they've been presented ever since I've been here, since 2018 and prior. They've always been presented as more of an adjustment to your fiscal year budget because it's representing, to me, the budget is representing new money. And those prior year commitments are not new funding. They're actually carry forwards. So maybe they should be labeled as a carry forward. And then the project, I don't know, maybe it's the labeling that's confusing everyone.
Well, yeah.
Okay. And I think we have gone through that before, just, in my experience, budgets are meant to represent the financial implications of the planned activity for the year, and these are definitely part of the planned activity for the year. So it may be something to just consider when you're preparing the budget for next year, whether that would be something to change in our procedures.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't, at the time when we're preparing the budget, it is generally March or April.
Yeah.
And we do not know how much the expenditures are going to end up at the end of June. So that's the whole premise of the final budget versus the preliminary budget.
Yeah, but the final budget really isn't set until the August board meeting. So you do know at the time that there is a final budget to be approved.
Right.
What these are. So
we do, and we take that list to the board, because if you remember with the final budget process, we give the board a list of projects that need to go forward into the
Okay.
new year. And we request in that process, the board to amend the budget to support those.
Mhm.
Okay, all right.
And that-
So
yeah,
so we do
that's-
make that request.
So I
Right.
guess the question, the argument, the confusion here is over maybe the terminology. Carry forward is what we're talking about. It was money that was budgeted earlier and not spent in the fiscal year and is going to be spent in the next fiscal year. That's the carry forward. It's not technically an adjustment of the current budget. It's carried forward into the new budget. So it should be part of the new budget. I think that's what the confusion.
Well,
is.
it can't be because I mean, you have to think we're utilizing the Tyler financial system now.
Yeah, and it's a cart
And-
and horse thing. It,
Well, and we've always represented it even on the spreadsheets in previous years as a adjustment to the budget. If you go back to our green and white worksheets, it's the carry forward sat in the column,
Mhm.
and
Maybe they should-
prior to that.
The
So
best thing to do is maybe.
it's not different, it's the same, but the label might be confusing everybody. I'm not sure why.
I think we have some, I mean, there's some labeling or presentation questions that I do want to kind of, is in the new year or this year for the new committee. I think we may be looking into that, some of that. I think we've talked about that a little bit already, about how these are presented to make them less confusing. And of course, here we have the problem with, and right at the spot with fuel station computer replacement being the label, is for the ins and outs of the the adjustments were made that were kind of software generated. They're labeled fuel station computer replacement all over the place, and that has to be taken care of. So, but this is another slightly different topic because we need to have a vote on this particular report to recommend approval of the report and leave it at that, because the larger issue of presentation is there. And I'll say that. I don't think we can take it on at length and in detail right now because it's not really on the agenda.
so then I had a second question. And that is that I believe we have new financing in place for the ECM projects.
Mhm.
And I don't see anything in this report to reflect anticipated proceeds from that financing, and I don't see anything in this report to reflect the spending that should be getting started on the ECM projects.
So those projects are going before the board, I believe, January 30th to approve the budget amounts for each project. And so then that once those are approved, we will be memorializing that in the budget. And so it will show up in the third quarter report.
Okay,
It has not been approved by the budget, by the board of directors yet.
I think it'll be in February because January 30th. Yeah, it'll be probably a February meeting.
It
January
got,
30th is strategic
correct.
planning
Oh,
meeting.
it got moved. I'm
it got
sorry.
moved to
Yeah.
the first
Oh, in
February.
February. So we
One of the February meetings. Yeah.
will see it in the third quarter report.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any other
Okay.
questions? Any other discussion? Any other discussion?
Yes, one other thing. It appears, and without getting specific, almost each account is showing in the current total budget a much larger deficit than the original total budget. Is that because of this carry forward that was being discussed? Is that what impacting the deficits?
Yes, those are planned reserve expenditures, which if you go to the, let me see, the back pages, the list is not on here, but when we carry forward the budgets for the capital expenditures, it shows which would be it was included in the first quarter report, and it is included in the board approval of the budget, it shows where we are going to get funding from. So these when I first showed you our fuel station computer replacement description glitch, those transactions were actually budgeting for a grant for the radio system upgrade. So some of these budget items, expenditures that are approved for carry forward come with a source of funding, and some of them are planned to be spent out of reserves. So those projects would be increasing the deficit if the plan is to spend out of reserves for certain projects.
Very convoluting.
Mhm.
Would it help you if I pulled up on the screen the carry forward requests?
I'm not sure at this point, are we talking about the carry forwards or talking about the
I think it just has to do with presentation more than anything.
presentation?
to say the truth.
It's kind of a complicated question, really. I mean, to me, the presentation is confusing. Whether that can be remedied, or whether we want to suggest a remedy for that as part of a recommendation, I don't know. But it would be good actually if the board of directors were able to adopt a report or approve a report that is a little more, less confusing.
Well, we can hide the descriptions of the budget adjustments, but then you lose your detail. I mean, there's not much other presentation we can do for this report. This is a canned report out of Tyler.
Mhm.
And when we went to Tyler, we said, we're not going to continue to use Excel and manipulate the reports. We're going to use what's in the system. So
Mhm.
the only option we have is to hide the detail. But then again, you lose what the budget adjustment was for.
Can I make a recommendation or something to think about?
Mhm.
One is to, and it's really up to the board whether, because it'll probably cost a little money, but maybe for next year or at some point make a recommendation or make a request to Tyler to do a specific report that we want. And maybe we live with this one this year just to get all the kinks worked out and really understand what would be better, if you will. And then make a request. That's one option. And then the other thought is we're not going to solve it here and maybe we do it offline or just a thought.
Yeah. I would, call for a vote at this point. It's a straight up and down recommendation of this report. But I think Mary's comment is very apt because I think this committee is part of the thing this committee should do. We do need to work on the presentation issue. It's something that will take a little more in-depth discussion and maybe at a subcommittee level. But that's for actually for the next round of this committee to do, because I do think we have a problem with intelligibility for the general, especially for the public to understand this, because it's not coming out like a normal budget report. And if Tyler encodes the problem, then we got problems we have to deal with. So just my comment. So I'd like to call for a vote. So I think we have to move ahead with just this one specific item. I'll ask, first of all, I think Mary made the motion.
Right. One question on the motion,
Sure.
though. Is the motion, wait, where is it?
Recommend approval
Recommend approval of the budget and the. budget
but what is it? How's it phrased? It's the
Yeah, I got that part, but am I just saying we're recommending approval and that's it?
yes,
Okay, got
straight
it.
up and down. So
And I did the first thing and Ted seconded it.
yeah. So I'll ask you first, Mary, your vote.
Yes, aye.
Ted, your vote.
Yes.
Yes. Karen, your vote.
Aye.
Marvin.
No, I'm not comfortable with this report. I'm going to vote no.
Okay, no. And Cheryl.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passed to recommend the report to the board passes 4-1 with committee member Corn dissenting.
So on future business, can
Mhm.
we take Mary's suggestion and put it into future business, Tom? To get this
Uh,
cleaned up?
Well, we can, it definitely, the future agenda, let me just close out, as I said earlier, item 3B is
Okay,
going to be continued till the next meeting.
okay.
I'll note, we can certainly note that this be taken up in the future agenda. I'm personally interested in it, and
Absolutely.
yeah, but as a formal agenda item, we'll have to kind of craft it, and it might be a matter of appointing a subcommittee, because it's a fairly extensive problem in a way, because it has to do with how the reports are generated by our computer system and how
Yeah,
we might be able to improve that, and also want to find out get a full idea of what the problems are, just how extensive the problems are, and how complicated the solution has to be. So we will look into that, but that's a good idea.
and I do have something else after.
Yes.
Pam.
Yeah.
Pam has her.
Pam had her hand up, please.
Yes.
Sure. So Tyler is more than willing to create specialized reports for any one of their customers that they support. If we request that, it is a $5,000 deposit. And then we get allocated a team or a developer that will work with us to come up with the solution, the report that we would like.
Mhm.
So I just want everybody to keep that in mind. There is a fee associated with that. And then depending if the report, Tyler does updates to, the software routinely. So depending on the report and how how specialized it becomes, will also determine if we have a future fee, meaning will our annual software upgrade increase because of that specialized report. That's
Mhm.
something that, we asked him about a specialized report a while back when we were first implementing the software, and I can't recall what the report was going to do. I don't remember why we had inquired about it, but there are fees associated with it. So just if it's not a canned report that they already create, that's issued, to every one of their customers, you just need to be aware there's a fee that could
Mhm.
potentially be charged for that.
Okay, thank you. Good to know.
Can I?
Cheryl, did you have any more? Yeah, Cheryl, you
Yes,
had another.
I have a suggestion or a comment on something. I noticed that last month when the disbursement journal was presented in the packet, it was just the checks that were dispersed, okay? But it would be nice if we knew what funds were deposited and if it was broken out instead of quarterly. Usually quarterly, she will break it down, but I'm just thinking instead of just dispersing the funds, we need to know what department it came out of. That's just my thought when I look at all these funds. We know that she identifies it, but the income versus the disbursements.
Okay,
Am I making sense?
okay, we'll look into
If
that.
that could be broken down on a monthly basis.
Are you talking about for the expenditure report?
Yes, yes. If we can have an idea of where the income is going and what's
Is it-
coming out.
Is this the expenditure report in the board packet or the?
Yes, yes.
That has, we can talk about that. That's actually, we can talk about that maybe at the board level, but I think there's and someone is actually wanting to speak in public comment. I'll get that in a second. I don't know, there's account information, isn't there?
She just disperses it and she tells you the actual account it gets dispersed to, but we don't know we don't know a cumulative total, what's in the general fund, what's in the wastewater fund. We don't know.
Oh, well, that's different from that's different from the expense report. That'd be a different thing from the expense report, as I understand it.
Well, it would be just
Yeah.
a recap
Yeah.
of the,
Briefly, Pam, I want to get to a one of the attendees wants to speak, so maybe we should do that first. David Pearson. You're on.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to add a future agenda item
Mhm.
for the next meeting, if I can. And that would be an update on the audit and a discussion on hiring the next auditor.
Okay. Thank you. Duly noted. Any other comment? Mr. Pearson, do you have any more to your comment?
No, thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much. Thank you. Pam, you wanted to speak.
Sure, I just wanted to go back to Cheryl's request for a moment. So if you review the expenditure report, it is probably about 10 to 15 pages in. And there is a break between all of the accounts payable vendors that were paid for the year and the payroll
Mhm.
transactions that occurred. There is a summary there, a real quick summary that maybe has been missed, that tells how many disbursements in total happened in the general fund, how many were in water, what the quantity was in wastewater, WRF, and such. There is a little subtotal throughout there between the break of accounts payable and payroll vendors.
Mhm.
I think that's what Cheryl was asking for.
I think it sounds like it. Yeah.
Okay.
We can talk about this offline a little bit just to get an explanation, make sure we're clear, make sure everybody's clear about what the
Right.
question is and what the, yeah.
And so the purpose of the expenditure report, as a special district, we are required to have the board approve our disbursements on a monthly basis. So when we take the expenditure report to the board, we're basically letting the board know, here's all the expenditures that have happened, for that month. The quarterly report is summarizing revenue versus expense and any potential overages or, changes from the budget that occurred. Because remember, when we do the budget, it's months ago. And when we do the budget, certain things we know or we don't know, and we have to, make those assumptions. So the quarterly report is really to say, here's our assumptions at the time of the budget, and then here is what's happened since. Things change, the economy changes, just like we had the storms, things like that. So they're kind of out there for different purposes. So I just wanted you to be aware of why.
Thank you, Pam.
Thank you. Any more in further agenda items? Well, with that, I guess we're done. And I also, again, I want to thank everybody who served and who will continue to serve. We're scheduled to meet again on the 28th, and we haven't made a final decision on that, but I think it will be an in-person meeting. Definitely in-person meetings after that. And I hope to see all of whoever wants to come, including the old members. They want to come as attendees if they haven't had enough of it already, and all the new members. And thank you. And hereby the meeting is adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, have a good day.
Bye. Bye.
Hey, Mary,
Yeah.
did you order that machine online? Amazon has them.
I'm gonna
We got him from the hospital. So.
Okay.
I'm gonna turn you guys off.